What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's video. In today's video, we diving into the historic Brawl of Fest that's kind of happening currently in MTG Arena. If you're not 100% sure what Brawl is, it is a format in Magic the Gathering that is kind of like a format you may have heard of called Commander. If you haven't heard of either, it's a format where you play a card, or a legendary card, I would say, that is technically your deck's commander. So this commander then dictates what color cards you can play in the deck overall based on that commander's casting costs, and therefore you are only allowed to play cards in that deck that are of that color scheme. The other thing about the deck, it is a singleton format, so you can play one copy of name-specific cards outside of lands, of course. And in this particular format, why it's a little bit different, why I guess it's a little bit special, other than it being historic, it's also an 100-card minimum format, so the deck has to be 100 cards, no more, no less, so it's a little bit similar to Commander in that stance. Whereas Commander, I think, is 100 cards in that format, but I think the difference is that then is the life total. And I think Commander is typically played with, groups of 4 or more than just 2 people. I mean, sure, you can play Commander with just 2 people, but I do think when you play Commander with 4, it's much better. But overall, it's an interesting format in MTG Arena. So in today's we'll be diving in, kind of going over the deck I created. Just play some games, kind of see how we do. I've kind of been experimenting, playing a little bit of games, kind of seeing overall how the deck performs. I'll dive into the deck real quick, talk about that. If you like the video, guys, hit that like button. It definitely lets me know you guys like these style of videos, especially with it being kind of a little bit different than just doing the typical standard stuff. If you want to know post new videos on the channel, hit that subscribe button. But with that being said, let's just dive in the video and let's just talk about the deck. So from what it looks like, it is an 100 card crazy mess of a deck of the Simic colors or Quandrix colors, depending on how you want to go with it. I'm calling it Simic counters, but you can call it Quandrix counters, whatever you want to call it. It's up to you guys. And our commander of our deck, or of our deck, is Tanzer Quandrix, the new Elder Dragon from Strixhaven. Has flying, has trample. When it enters the battlefield, it doubles the amount of +1/+1 counters we have on target creature we control, and then whenever it attacks, we have all our base power and toughnesses of our creatures become its power and toughness at the end of turn. So essentially, it turns all our small creatures into big creatures, and then adds the +1/+1 counters on top of that, so they become even bigger creatures. So overall, pretty interesting style deck and what it's trying to do. And because we are playing a little bit of the blue, a little bit of the green, we are playing some counter spells to kind of combat our opponent's spells, while at the same time too, we also are playing some spells that fight our opponent's creatures, especially when our creatures get pumped up from Quandrix's ability overall. And then in the cards base that we have, like I said, is a little bit of a mess. It's kind of hard for me to kind of go over, so I'll kind of just go over briefly. Counter spell, just a 1-drop creature that does eventually get +1/+1 counters. We are playing Snowlands with the Ascendant Spirit, but just a creature that definitely becomes bigger the more mana we have open. Bethnic Biomancer has an ability called Adept. If you're not sure what Adept is, it's an ability that came with this set where essentially you pay a certain mana source and has Adept whatever, and we put that many +1/+1 counters on that creature. And this particular creature, whenever it has 1 or more +1/+1 counters on it, we get to draw and discard a card. So definitely very good in that sense. We have the Salamander, the Pretendamander, the 1-mana 1/1 flyer, has Adept 4. This ability costs 8, but it costs 1 less to activate for each instant or sorcery card in our graveyard. We do play an array of them with some of our counters and some of our fight spells. We have Blizzard Ball for a fight spell. Chainweb Arcaneer as kind of like a creature that initially comes out. It's not very strong, but if we ever escape it, it comes back onto the battlefield with 3 +1/+1 counters on it. Just in case if there's any matchups where someone's trying to mill some cards into our graveyard, it's definitely a good way to get it back in the later game if it does die. Pellet Collector, it's a very strong 1-drop that gets stronger for the creatures that come out that are larger than it. So every time a creature that comes out that's greater than its power, we get a +1/+1 counter on it that we control. And if it has 3 or more +1/+1 counters on it, it gains trample. We have Prey Upon, just another fight spell. We have Snakeskin Veil as a little bit of protection just in case our opponent tries to directly target any of our creatures. We can give it a +1/+1 counter. At the same time, we also give it a hexproof, which is definitely very good. Vastwood Fortification, kind of like Snakeskin Veil without the hexproof, but it can also be a land if we need a mana source of a sort. We have multiple choice, just as a a card that we can play if we have some open mana. We can scry a card and draw a card. We can play X. We can choose a player. They bounce a card back to their hand. If we pay 3, we get a 4/4, and if we pay 4 or more, we just do all the above. We got Primal Might as another fight spell where we can pay X and we can make our creature +X/+X based on that X cost, and then that creature fights target creature, and then probably more than likely swing in for an attack. Combine this with something like a Tanzer Quandrix, it makes our our Quandrix very big, and then eventually makes all our base creatures that are attacking in as well that much larger. So definitely a good combination there. We got Wilded Scourge. It's a X green, enters battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on a non-Hydra creature we control, put X +1/+1 counters on the Scourge. So just that's like our early drop in the sense. Then our 2 drops, we have Brineborn Cutthroat as a good creature that we can play at flash speed, and then every time we play a spell on our opponent's turn, like a counter spell or possibly even a fight spell or a protection spell, we'll give it +1/+1 counters. We have continuous plan, a contentious plan. It's a proliferate. We draw a card. Proliferate is another ability that we choose any number of permanents or players, give them each counter of each kind they already have. So if they have +1/+1 counters on them, we give them additional +1/+1 counters. Definitely very good, and the draw effect is pretty decent there. Disdainful Stroke to counter those big spells. Essence Scatter to counter a creature. Fairy Vandal as a flyer with flash that we can play at the end of our opponent's turn. And then whenever we draw our second card each turn, we get to put a +1/+1 counter on Fairy Vandal. Memory Lapse, it's a counter spell that instead of bouncing it into the graveyard, it actually goes back on top of their opponent's library, and they have to draw it again and then replay it again, so it kind of like stops their draw. We have Negate, which is counter target non-creature spell. Counter spell, which straight up counters any spell. Essence Capture, which counters target creature spell, then we get to put a +1/+1 counter on target creature we control. Devourment Tendrils, we deal damage to target creature equal to creature we can choose as power, and then if that permanent we don't control dies, we gain 2 life in the process. Explorer, just as a way to draw additional card, play an additional land, a little bit of a ramp source. Incubation Druid as a creature that we can add 1 mana of any color of a land we can use, and it gets a +1, and if it has a +1/+1 counter on it, we can add 3 mana of that type instead, and we can adapt it for 3 for 5 mana and give it 3 +1/+1 counters, which is definitely very good with our mana with what we're trying to do. We have an Inscription of Abundance. It's an interesting spell from Zendikar with Kicker. We have to choose one. If it was kicked, we can choose any number. So the 3 different things we can choose, we get a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Target player gains X life, where X is the greatest power among creatures they control. And target creature we control fights target creature we don't control. So just a way to kind of remove some creatures, just because green and blue doesn't have a lot of removal outside of fight spells for the most part. We got Joril, which is not a creature that actually produces things with +1/+1 counters, but the idea here, whenever we draw our second card, we get to create a green cat token, which essentially allows us to kind of make the board a little bit wider. And if in the late game we have a pretty decent sized hand, we can pay 6, and creatures we control have base power and toughness, where X is X, where X is the number of cards in our hand, then combine the +1/+1 counters that they already have on them, they could be very large creatures. We have the Nessian Horden Beetle, so if we have anything that's power 4 or greater, it gets a +1/+1 counter on it at the beginning of each of our combats. We have the Pollen Bright Druid, has enters the battlefield, we get to choose one, we get the +1/+1 counter on target creature, or we get to Proliferate, which definitely is very good. We got Quarian Dryad, it's a 2 mana 1/1. Whenever we cast a spell that's white, blue, black, or red, we get a +1/+1 counter on it. We do play half our deck is roughly about blue, and then we do also play multicolor spells, so we do have a lot of opportunities to make it that much larger. We got Rabid Bite as another spell to just kind of deal damage to target creature we don't control. Ram Through, same thing, deal damage to target creature we don't control. If the creature has trample, the excess damage goes to that creature's controller instead. Scavenge and Ooze is a way to eat the graveyard and also gain a +1/+1 counter and some life in the process. Titanic Brawl is a fight spell that costs less if we have a +1/+1 counter on the creature we're targeting to fight another creature. Barkhide Troll is a creature that comes in the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it, and we get to remove it, a +1/+1 counter from it, and give it hexproof if we need to. Decisive Denial as a little bit of non-creature spell counter magic, as well as a fight spell as well. Whirl Spell for that little bit of ramp. Merfolk Skydiver, 1/1 flyer for 2 mana, enters the battlefield we get to put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, and then for 5 mana we can always Proliferate. In the 3-drop slot, we have Cancel for counter target spell, Sinister Sabotage, we counter target spell, and then we Surveil, which is kind of like a Scribe, but instead of putting the card on the bottom, we get to throw it in the graveyard instead. We have Call Ambush, which is another fight spell that also can be a land. We have Lana, we're a Visionary as a kind of like a mana ramp spell, draw a card, add green mana kind of thing. Definitely okay card. Oran Reef Ooze, just a creature that enters the battlefield, we get to put a +1/+1 counter on target creature we control, and then whenever Oran Reef Ooze attacks, we get to put a +1/+1 counter on each attacking creature with a +1/+1 counter on it, so it just makes our creatures with +1/+1 counters that much stronger. First Iron Games is a kind of random enchantment that we create a 1/1 soldier, get to put 3 +1/+1 counters on target creature control. If we control a creature of 4 or greater, we draw 2 cards. If we get to chapter 4, we create a gold token. We got Lower Scale Codal that just gets bigger every time we draw a card, gets to put a +1/+1 counter whenever we draw. Quandrix Command, this is a choose 2 spell, return target creature or planeswalker to its owner's hand, counter target artifact or enchantment spell, put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature, and target player shuffles up to 3 cards from their graveyard into their library. So definitely a pretty good spell that has a little bit of multi-use abilities, and because we're playing one-ofs of a lot of things, it's always good to have a possible ability of shuffling things back into our graveyard so we can possibly play them again. Burrows, Titan of Nature's Wrath. It's a solid spell, mana rip spell, get it back later in the game, gain 3 life, play a land on the battlefield from our hand onto the battlefield. It's overall very good spell. Spark Doubles is copy, target creature control, but we get to put a +1/+1 counter on the copy of that creature. And we can also even possibly copy a Planeswalker if we really, really wanted to. Tezzer's Gambit, it's a 4-mana, draw 2 cards, then proliferate. We can also pay, instead of the blue mana, we can pay 2 life, which is definitely very good. So we can pay it on turn 3 if we really, really wanted to. Or if we only have 3 mana open, we can just pay it and then just pay the life in the process. Harmonize, this is a decent draw 3 cards for 4 mana. Nissa, Who Shakes the World, is a decent card that helps our forest produce additional mana, and then we get to make our lands into creatures, and if we get to +8, we can then get all the forests from our deck and then put them onto the battlefield, and then essentially all our lands are indestructible from this point forward. Morite of the Frost, that's a 5-mana 0/0, but when it enters the battlefield, we have it become a copy of permanent we control, except that it's a legendary and it's snow in addition to its other types. If it's a creature, it enters the battlefield with 2 additional +1/+1 counters on it, and it's a changeling, so it's all creature types. We have Rollesk, the Apex Hybrid. It's a 5-mana 4/5 Flying Trampler. Enters the battlefield. We get to put 2 +1/+1 counters on another target creature we control, and if it dies, we proliferate, and then we proliferate again. So we do it twice, which makes our creatures that much stronger. Sublime Epiphany, just as a big counter spell. Vorinclex, it just kind of allows us to give additional +1/+1 counters whenever we gain them, and if our opponent has any ways of putting counters on things, it gives them half of that, so definitely helps us out there. Body of Research, just a cool card to kind of throw in here, kind of see what happens. If we get it early, possibly even around turn 6, we may have only drawn like 10 cards in our deck, or possibly 12, I don't really know. Just get a very large fractal creature that our opponent may just be like, holy crap, there's an 86 fractal on the board. Seagate Restoration, just a way to dig a little bit deeper into our deck, also can be a land. Having the ability to have no maximum hand size is very good. We have Coma, the Cosmos Serpent, just a 6/6 for 7 mana that can't be countered. Start producing Serpent tokens, tap down our opponent's things, give it indestructible, definitely very good there. Great Henge, just to make our creatures that come into the battlefield with the possibility of gaining an additional +1/+1 counter on it, also drawing a card. And then we can tap it for 2 green mana and gain 2 life. And then our mana base is a little bit all over the place. We have 14 and 14 split down evenly for snow covered forests and islands. 1 Vantress, 1 Pathway, 1 Breeding Pool, 1 Hinterland Harbor, 1 Elytra Mirror Lake, with the idea of possibly sacrificing it, make a copy of target creature we control, except that enters battlefield additional +1/+1 counter on it. Quandrix Campus for the possible scry, Rimwood Falls for additional snowland, Temple of Mastery for the scry, also blue-green, and Snarl for the blue-green, and then we can reveal a non-basic. Overall, the deck is pretty interesting. I have played a handful of games, been fairly well. Sometimes it's a little clunky, but it is one of those things that happens when you do play a 1-of format. Just to kind of give you the general breakdown, we're very heavy on the 2-drops, and we kind of settled in the 2-drops. We're at 2.6 roughly, about 27 creatures, 20 instants, 12 sorceries, 1 artifact, 1 enchantment, 1 planeswalker, and 37 lands. That doesn't include the modal lands, I guess, so it may be a little bit higher. I think we're closer to 40. So overall, not bad breakdown. So let's just dive into some games, kind of see how the deck performs, and then we'll kind of talk about it afterwards. We have Kenrith, good old Kenny. Run the play. I like our hand, so I'll keep. That means they can only play white, which is not, which we don't have to worry about them being super aggressive. But they may have a lot of protection. I guess they're thinking about mulliganing. I mean, we have. I know we're a little light on lands in our hand, but I think we're okay because we have ways to draw lands. So I think we have our colors. Now they're probably like, wait, they're playing snow. What's going on? Sure. They play white. What? Sure. Silver Ramp is my best guess. We drew a green source. You know what I forgot? I didn't play... I didn't play Command Tower. That's a land I literally forgot to do. I know it makes it pretty crazy that you're like, what do I got going on here? +1/+1 counters. Things that get +1/+1 counters. I'm gonna guess they play Field of the Dead. Sure. We'll adapt here. Draw. Discard that. Okay. That's a thing. Interesting. Interesting. Now, if only we could give our body of research a way to get bigger. Sure, Clothis is fine. Clothis is not going to bother me. Can they play? They can play Clothis because I guess Kenny can play multiple things. Did not know this. Yeah, we'll keep. We'll double the counters on this. We'll draw a card, discard a card. We'll just get rid of that. That's fine. Get a counter. We'll swing in. Say go. If they play anything that's going to slow us down, we could just pack the negation and cancel out whatever they're going to do. That's fine. That's not the card. No. Sure. Take action. Game. Sure. You can stomp all you want. That's what I thought. I missed the land drop. And they're stuck at 2 lands as well. So we're just drawing fantastic here. I'll get hit for 1, I guess. You get your land? You get to an Oda. You don't. Sure. No. You really think I'm going to give you a free Winota? Sure. No, I'm good. Sure. Draw my card. Draw 2 cards. Sweet. I'll sit back. Ranger Vios is perfectly fine. I'll attack all in. Yeah, it's fine. I could care less. You gotta block. Perfect. All right, so our open hand's pretty good. Got Pel Collector, Snakes and Veil, Nissan, Hornbeetle, and we got lands, so I'm gonna keep. Our opponent's on the play. They're playing Merfolk. Not sure how this one's gonna go, so we will see how it goes. Like, all our lands are playable, which is great. What does this do? Whenever a Merfolk comes about, people put a +1/+1 on our Merfolk control. Got it. So what you're saying is I need to put a Beetle out. And attack. And we're just gonna fight it next turn, I guess? Sure. 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 I mean, I could put the counters. They have 1 green open. Yeah, why not? We'll give it 2 +1/+1 counters, so it gives a trample. We'll attack in. See what they want to do here. Do they want to block? Do they want to trade? Interesting. Sure. Interesting to play Merfolk Tribal when you don't have a lot of cards. Like, I guess there's a lot of Merfolk. I wonder, again, I'm gonna guess there's a lot of counters here. is my best guess. They don't have a lot of blue mana. That's fine. You can hit me for 1. They have 1 green open, which is okay, but I mean, we'll play my commander to be like, hey, here's your commander. Here's my commander. Swing in for 9. Yeah, I think you're now on the defensive here, bruh. What do they got going on here? They got to collect the company? No? Okay. One beetle. One beetle to rule them all. I feel like I just played this person. Opponents on the play. Hand's okay. It's fine. We'll play Horn Beetle. We'll attack him for 2. What does this one do? Whenever a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on it. That's fine. Now they're sitting back, which is good. We'll play the campus into play tapped. We'll say no. That was actually a pretty good set of plays right there. I don't want them double blocking. It's fine. We'll play our commander. Double in these counters, so it's a 7/7. That becomes a 6. I mean, they have to give up a lot in order to kill the 7/7, so I'm gonna attack in as trample as well. They take it, okay. Sure. Yeah. Sure. That's... you got me. Ugh, hurts. I will play my chain web Acneer. We'll just put a +1/+1 count on the beetle. Are you gonna draw? Beetle gets a base power and toughness up to 4. It comes to 7. To me, it's not worth, to be quite honest. So I'm just gonna attack him with the 4/4. I'm gonna decline. I'm not. Okay. And turn. Gonna draw some cards. Yeah, sure. Sure. That's not enough to kill me. It only gets bigger if they want to let it get bigger. And I mean, I'm in a good spot to just kind of do whatever. I can counter 2 spells, so let's see what they do here. I mean, I'm just going to attack with everything. See how this goes. You can throw a lot of things in front of a lot of things. No? So 3, 3, 2. What's this on? 3, 3, 2. Yeah, that's fine. We'll throw you at the end. Might as well kill more creatures, so give you less merfolk to tap. All right, go ahead. No. All right, it's not. Bob is playing that thing that makes things. We're on the play. Nope, turn 1 per se. But I think it's a keepable hand. They're probably like, what does he got? He's got mana. Tap lane's good for us. We just gotta pretty much slow down their whole early game. Yeah, why not? We'll play this for 1. Why not? It's not scary. It's just a little 1/1. Look at him. Sure. Nice. We'll play Uro. We'll throw this bad boy on the battlefield. Attack him for 1. Sweetness. Looking pretty good right now. We're sitting at a pretty good turn 3, I guess. Just pinging away for that damage. Being very particular about how they want to make that mana. They also chose it to be green, which I think is to our benefit. They got anything to disrupt? No? Costs 4 mana. They have 4 mana. We'll say go. We'll see what happens. Gain a life. That's fine. Sure. Things that make more mana. That's perfectly fine. That's understandable with this style of deck. Okay. Opponent goes first. Hand's okay, not great. We don't really have a play until turn 3 per se, which is not great. So we'll take the free mulligan. What are they playing? I want to know what they're playing. They're playing a frog. I want to play a frog. This is not much better, but it's okay. Being your upkeep, sacrifice a Grotug monster, at least you sacrifice a land. You play additional land in each one of your turns. When you have one or more lands that are put into your graveyard from anywhere, draw a card. Oh. So a mana like ramp style deck. Interesting. Well, they are up to a fast start. We are not. They also are playing black, so that just means there's a lot more removal, which I haven't played a lot of. Sweet. Thank you for the Uro. Lotus Field. Sacrificing lands already. Let's say go. Sure. We got a skeleton. Sweet. Nice. Awesome. I am not drawing anything. I know I played 27 creatures in the deck. So it's interesting I have not drawn anything. So they just have something that comes back from the graveyard to the battlefield. Got it. I might as well just counter it. I don't really care. I haven't drawn any of my creatures. Nice. The one downfall to playing Singleton is just not drawing anything. Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh, we'll get rid of that. I'm still unsure exactly what they're trying to do here. They're going to play their frog? Sure. I mean, they have a good way to produce a lot of land. I'll take 6. Has flying. Okay. We're good. Sure. what can they do here is the question. I mean, we have an okay hand here. We have some counter magic up because we can tap our Incubation Druid for 3 mana because it has the +1/+1 counter on it. Do I want to be a jerk and just be like, no? You can draw it again. And we are back. So going over the deck, I mean, it fairly played okay. I did feel like at some points it was kind of clunky. Like I said, it's something I'm unsure of, like what to kind of adjust. I do think there's some cards I may have neglected on. Kind of like thinking about it afterwards, I was thinking, you know, Stone Coil Serpent was something I forgot to add in. Trying to think of like other things that have +1/+1 counters, especially when you're dealing with such a large format. It's kind of hard to kind of generalize, you know, what cards are technically available. You can do as much as possible to kind of narrow down the library as a whole. At the same time too, I don't actually have a lot of the older cards that they recently released into Arena, so there's a lot I'm still missing when it comes to that. So it's also possible that there's cards that I may have missed out on. Just kind of going off of what I physically had in my collection to kind of build this deck. I mean, guys, if you've been enjoying the video, hit the like button. It definitely helps out a lot. If you've been playing the Historic Brawl 100 card deck event, let me know what kind of deck you're playing down in the comments below. And if you're new here, wanting to post new videos on the channel, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Also want to give a special shout out to all the members of the channel. They hit the join button down at the bottom of the channel or in the link description if you want to join the members as well and get your name here on the screen at the end of the video. Like I said, guys, I appreciate you guys for helping support the channel. And until next time, see you later.